turkeys, Brazil nuts and Panama hats are all familiar examples, as are French fries, Danish pastries and Jerusalem artichokes. But the stories behind even these familiar terms aren't quite as straightforward as you might presume. Turkeys don't actually come from Turkey, after all, and nor do Jerusalem artichokes come from Israel. So what happened there? And as soon as you start to find out that Panama hats come from Ecuador, not Panama, and that French fries were invented across the border in Belgium, well, things start to take something of an interesting detour. It's etymological stories precisely like these that bring us here now, at the start of a grand tour both of the world and of the English dictionary. Ahead of us lies a 70,000-mile route, as the crow flies, and an itinerary comprised entirely of towns and villages, cities and countries, and at least one mountain, whose names have, in some way or another, become immortalized in our language. Our journey will begin in London, from where we'll head out across to France, Belgium, Germany and the Netherlands, then north into Scandinavia, east into Russia, and south to the Mediterranean. From the Balkans, Central Europe, Spain and Portugal, we'll travel down through Africa, north to the Middle East, then out across Central Asia to the Far East. From there we'll turn south once more, down through the islands of the western Pacific Ocean, and stopping off for etymological tours of Japan, the Philippines, Indonesia, Australia, and New Zealand. Jumping across the Pacific Ocean, we'll land in the far north of North America, making stops in Alaska, Canada, the western USA, and marking the 50,000-mile mark of our journey in Mexico. From there, destinations in Central and South America will take us as far south as the Falkland Islands, before we enter the home strait, heading north through the likes of Brazil, Bermuda, the eastern United States and Canada, before a solitary stop in Iceland breaks up our return journey across the Atlantic, back to the British Isles. It will be an epic trip, no doubt about it, and along the way there are some of the dictionary's most extraordinary etymological stories to tell. The tiny town in rural France that almost brought down the German government lies ahead of us, as does a valley outside Düsseldorf that gave us a word that altered our perception of human history. We'll find out why a tiny Swedish mining town now finds itself honoured alongside the likes of Albert Einstein and Marie Curie, and what the people of 50 of the world's nations owe to a tiny spa town on the Czech-German border. The story how a village in South Africa gave us a word for a tactical demotion makes our list, as does the Jordanian mountain whose name has become a byword for a tantalizing glimpse. And we'll find out what the Philippines have given to your office in-tray, what Alaska has given to your liquor cabinet, and how a speech given by a bumbling North Carolinian gave us a word for impenetrable nonsense. But every journey, as the old saying goes, starts with a single step. And ours starts with a step along a long-forgotten street in the south of London. 1. London, UK. Kent Street Ejectment. Bags packed? Passport ready? Good, because we'll be making no fewer than 80 stops on this etymological trip around the world. And following the route of another literary circumnavigation, we're beginning this journey in London. But while Phileas Fogg's 80-day voyage began in the lavish surroundings of the Reform Club, we're starting off in, well, a less grandiose setting. A poverty-stricken street in 18th century Southwark, to be exact. Places all across London have provided inspiration for countless words and phrases over the centuries, from an Aldgate draft, a punning name for a bad cheque, so called as Aldgate was once home to a well-used water pump, to a Westminster wedding, an 18th century term for what one contemporary dictionary defined as a whore and a rogue married together, an interesting take on the Abbey's popularity as a high society wedding venue. Because inmates at London's Newgate prison were typically coupled together in pairs, to walk Newgate fashion is to walk hand in hand, while a Newgate nightingale was once a witty nickname for a jailbird in 17th century slang. If you've ever been in financial difficulty, then you've been on Carey Street, the home and address of the bankruptcy department of London's Supreme Court, which now lies somewhat ironically.